I thought that home ownership was this thing that only big adults do, and now I am an adult.
What misconceptions, if any, did you have about the home buying process?
I was definitely shocked that I could afford one. And I am brave, but with the home ownership journey, I have yet to take that step into home ownership. The fear is walking away from my convenience and now taking on responsibility for this household.
Your first home is likely not going to be your forever home. Every time I buy a house, I'm scared, but I do it scared every time. Welcome to the Get the Keys podcast. I am your host, Jocaro, Maryland Realtor, and today I have my friend Lachelle with me. So Lachelle, tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey so far to home ownership.
Sure. Happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. So my journey has been interesting. A bit about me. I'm someone who is very outgoing. I'm adventurous. I'm someone who I would say is brave. I grew up in Toronto and made some brave moves with moving to Florida, and I moved to Connecticut, and now I'm here in Maryland. Making big steps for myself. In terms of the journey for home ownership, that bravery, I haven't seen too much of it in this realm. But that's a little bit of who I am. I'm someone who's I love meeting people and making connections and things like that. And I am brave. But with the home ownership journey, I have yet to take that step into home ownership.
Okay. Yeah, so guys, as she did mention, she's not a homeowner right now, but we're working on it. Is there anything that excites you about owning your first home or being a homeowner?
Space. I'm someone who likes to host once a month. I'm hosting a number of people. I'm also hosting family and friends that come to visit. I really think what I'm excited for is having the space, having an extra room for someone, an extra bathroom if I'm getting fancy. I'm also excited for building wealth, having that equity and, making an investment into my future financially. And I honestly, I think it's the space and it's calling it mine and having that ownership over it.
Okay. Awesome. I second the building wealth part.
Yes.
As you know. So what do you feel are the biggest obstacles standing between you and home ownership right now?
My mindset.
Okay.
I think that is probably the biggest thing. There's so many layers to this, and I think that we may touch on that, but I think my mindset, there's this thing of growing up, I thought that home ownership was this thing that only big adults do, and now I am an adult, but, it was this thing that, it doesn't necessarily happen easily. So I would say that. I would also say my standards.
Okay.
I think looking for something long term, you have to challenge your standards. And challenge what's the realistic characteristics that I'm looking for. I think I'm talking about dating, but no, I'm talking about home ownership. What are the realistic characteristics that are going to be beneficial or help me out in the long run and help me feel comfortable in the long run? So it's weighing that out, right? Like the standards of, I want this. But then it's well, realistically, you have the budget for this. So it's trying to find that fine line there as well. So I would say those two.
Okay. So when you say standards, you mean, I guess the specifics or the detail or the style of the home.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely. Coming from Canada, coming
Hmm.
from Toronto, there's an aesthetic that I'm looking for. Some would say this aesthetic is very blank, like it's very clean cut. It's very like newly renovated,
Right.
uh, hardwood floors, and it's getting beyond that and
Hmm.
exploring houses that have more personality. Because I can admit, I think that what I'm looking for is a is a house that's a blank slate, clean, crisp. That's it. But it's opening my eyes to see homes that have more personality and actually just have more character to it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, I do remember when we did, because we have been out looking for some homes, particularly in the city. And I know that's one comment that you had made that, you're from Canada, and the neighborhoods that we were looking at that were in your price point weren't necessarily what you're used to. And it was quite an adjustment for you.
I would also say it's a culture shock, right?
Mhm.
Like it's actually a cultural shock as well in terms of, the kind of communities that I was like born and raised in and where I'm looking now in terms of the demographic, in terms of the style of home, in terms of even sometimes like in other states, finding a home that had brick on it, right? Like I love brick homes, but it's not always going to be that way. So it's also a culture shock there.
So that being said, how are you dealing with the, I guess, the new reality, the reality of, hey, I'm no longer in Canada. This is my desired price point, or the price point that where I'd like to be. But I also want to be a homeowner. Like, how are you dealing with, I guess, this new reality of, this is what I want, this is what I really want, this is what I'm used to, but this is what I may have to, I don't want to say settle because that sounds bad, but this is what's within my price point or my budget.
I don't think it's um I don't think it's settling. I think for me, I'm seeing my friends that have done it. So
Mm-hmm.
like I'm seeing, you know, you guys, I'm seeing my friends um that are attaining homes, my friends that have purchased fixer uppers, right? When it comes to fixer up, like I just told you what I want. Like a fixer upper, I don't have that vision for, right? But seeing individuals that are my age, that are my colleagues, that are my peers doing this, and seeing them do it well, that's the encouragement. And also being in their homes and being like, I like this. Like, I like how this feels, and admitting that to myself, like, you like this. It's okay, So yeah, I would say accepting, it's not even accepting, because accepting sounds like, oh, well,
Yeah.
that's it. But like seeing my community. And I think that's why it's so important to, um, be encouraged by your community. I'm
Mhm.
glad that I have people in my circle that are homeowners so that I can have people that inspire me and things to, aspire to. So yeah, I think that helps me get over that barrier for sure.
Okay. Good to hear. And I think, for you and, people that, are listening or watching, what I tell a lot of my buyers is your first home is likely not going to be your forever home or the final home that you buy. So, um, the, the important thing is to just get in the game. Um, Over time, real estate is like the stock market. It goes up and down. But if you hold it long term, eventually you'll come out on top and you'll be able to trade up to something that you really want in the future. Hopefully sometime down the line. Speaking of fixer uppers, we did look at a fixer upper one time.
We
Do you remember?
did.
Do you remember
We
that?
did.
Yeah.
And you saw the vision. I remember I walked in there and I was like, absolutely not. No. But you're like, okay, and then we break down this wall. We would do this. And then downstairs, I was like, get me out of here. But you were just like, you could make this and you would do this and do that. And, what I appreciate about you, a plug for you, is that, um, you're very good at not only seeing the vision, but kind of giving your client that vision as well. And not just saying like, don't worry about it. This could be fixed up. Right. But it's we go through the house and it's like, you could knock this down, open this up downstairs. There can be a room right here. Like, for someone who doesn't have the vision, I
Yeah.
will say that you do an excellent job at feeding the vision, so that I can see it too. Because by the end, I
Yeah.
was pretty excited. I
Yeah.
was like, let's go. Like, I almost got my hammer to get
Yeah.
started. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank
of
you
course.
to VCU School of Engineering and my past career as a project manager.
Of
So,
course.
awesome. As a Black woman, have you faced any unique challenges when it comes to purchasing your first home? When Bethany and I, who's my wife, for those of you that don't know, when we got engaged, we started, looking for a house. And I don't recommend it. Get married first, get the wedding out of the way, and then look for the house. Makes things a lot easier. But we started looking for homes, and it wasn't just me making the decision. I had Bethany to lean on, and we were bouncing ideas, and it wasn't just my income. I had, my partner's income as well. And her mom is here, and my mom and my parents are a few hours away, in Virginia. So I guess for you, who is unmarried, and your parents are in Canada, your brother is also in another state, everything is going to be on you. So how are you pushing through some of the self-doubt and that may creep in, as you endeavor to, purchase a home?
Oh, thinking about the letter that my family may receive from me, being that I am doing this alone, you mentioned that you have your partner, you had Bethany's income to help, right? Thinking about the potential to ask for help, because I'm a Black woman and because, on average, we don't have access to the wealth that our counterparts have access to. Um, it's about getting over the pride. You think I'm a full-on doctor of audiology, like I should be able to afford the things that I want. And if I don't, it's really on me. Like I should have been saving for the last 10 years of practice and whatever, but it's like that hasn't been enough. So I think it's tapping into community, my intimate community, not necessarily just like friends and other circles, but like my intimate community to see if there can be any assistance there. So thinking about the letter, I'm sure Mr. Chat GPT gonna help me out. But yeah, that's how I'm overcoming that fear of I don't have enough.
Okay. So I guess the fear is not having enough from a financial standpoint.
Yeah. I would say that's the barrier that I feel as a Black woman and as a single Black woman that is far from family. That's the boundary or the hurdle that I have to get over.
So you do feel like you've had enough financial education about the home buying process, or is that something that was talked about when, with your parents or with your family growing up?
No.
No.
It wasn't. And as mentioned, right, it was something that buying a home wasn't talked about as something that was like attainable, right? I think we lived as children, we lived in like 3 homes before we landed in our like home since we were 10 and up. And I was just like, I thought we owned all of them, right? But it was only in my later years that I realized we owned, my parents, not us, me and my brother, but my parents owned the last house, the
Yeah.
house that we grew up in, and I was like, what? I thought we like owned those other ones, but it wasn't talked about. It wasn't talked about like, oh, we're renting this home. I just thought that we're in a home.
Yeah.
We own it. So just that, and not even knowing that until later on, just goes to show how much I didn't know about
Mhm.
home ownership. Um, so no, it wasn't discussed, mortgages and down payments and how much do you need to save and things like that. Those weren't discussed. So I didn't have that understanding.
What misconceptions, if any, did you have about the home buying process when you first started, or did you just not know? Were you just started from like ground zero?
Yeah. I remember when I first started, I was definitely shocked that I could afford one.
Hmm.
I think the misconception was that I couldn't afford one, and then I met with you and the lender, and it was like, oh yeah, you're pre-approved up to this. I'm like, what? Of course, you shouldn't look for something that is that price, but
Right.
I was just like, oh, let's go, So just having the awareness that I could afford a home. Another misconception was all the grants and the programs that are available to help with home buying.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I would say those two things of financially, can I afford this? I just assume no. And two, if I can, I'm going to have to put 20% down, you know?
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
that's a
it's
big
just,
one.
yeah, that's just what it was. Another misconception for me was because I wasn't, and I quickly learned this, but because I am not a US citizen. I was trying to figure out like, what's the stipulations there? I was on a visa, like how does this work? So that was another thing for me of, am I even allowed to buy a
Yeah.
home?
Yeah.
So that was um another piece of information that I had to find out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That 20% down payment is a common misconception. Um, I think there would be a lot less homeowners if there were the 20% requirement. I feel like it's 20% in Canada though, isn't it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they have a first time. I feel like they have a first time home buyer
Okay.
um stipulation as well, but I can't think of it. But I don't know if it's 20%. I would have to check.
It might be 10. It might be
Yeah,
10.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So I'm your agent. Is
Mm.
has there been anything that you've learned from me that has helped you prepare financially or for homeownership?
Yeah, I I know it's been the savings part of it. Making sure you have at least like 6 months of buffer of savings. 3 to 6 months, you say, or six? Yeah, 3 to 6 months. When I first stopped looking for a home, it was because I realized like I can get a home, but I'm going to be like home poor. What they call it, home poor or something like
House,
that?
yeah, house poor.
House poor.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I feel like I don't have enough of that buffer, which you were really encouraging to say, like, you can get it,
Hmm.
but do you have enough for this? Like, yes, you can attain this home, but do you have enough to maintain this home, and to maintain my lifestyle, like I'm someone that loves to travel. Like I love to be on a flight, and it's just like, if this is going to take away from that, then that's now stepping into your quality of life, and you don't have enough to like save if anything happens.
Right.
So that's a huge thing that I've learned from you. I've also learned about having the vision for the fixer upper. Um, you know, If something is at a lower price point, okay, then if it's 20,000 below, you could take that 20,000 you're planning on spending and put it into the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
So learning that and having my awareness to that has been useful as well. And also you just know, the Baltimore area, Maryland very well. So it's been helpful to know that I'm working with someone that knows access to like different things. And, you understand that I'm probably like a Ellicott City and South kind of woman, going north is not like on the top of my list. So you,
Yeah.
you
You're
put that,
definitely a DC girl at heart.
yeah, you put that into consideration. So yeah, learning, okay, maybe it's not Columbia, but maybe you can live, okay, in Canesville, and it's, not sacrificing your location and things like that. So that's what I've learned, like Maryland geography, how to see the fixer upper, and financially what needs to be in place.
I remember our first conversation about the home buying process, and I think you touched on this a little bit. But I remember it was over the phone, and I remember hearing your voice, and
Trembling. I was trembling.
I mean, you were shook. Like, so what scared you about the process? I think it was after, I can't remember what question you asked. I think it was the earnest money being submitted, or I think it was when the earnest money is submitted.
Yeah.
So yeah, what scared you about that process, and how did you overcome?
Um, the process of home ownership, or the
Yeah,
earnest money.
or I guess all of it. I don't know if you remember
Yeah.
exactly. What made you so terrified in that
You,
moment?
you know what it is too? After renting for so long, it's like, I love the convenience. Literally 2 weeks ago, my light was blown. Could I have gotten a light bulb? Sure. But I just messaged my leasing office, and I said, "Excuse me, my light bulb blown."
Uh-huh.
They came in and they did it. I come home and like I have a new thermostat, right? I come home, my shower head's fixed. I didn't know it was broken. It's
Yeah.
fixed. So it's just like, I think the fear too is having to do all of the things in a home, like the repairs and stuff like that, by myself. And I can do it. I'm capable. I can do it. But it's the financial part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like, can I YouTube and figure out how to unclog a sink? Sure, I can, but okay, now I have to find the right part, the right screw, the right things like that. So the fear is walking away from my convenience and like now taking on responsibility for this household. I'm
Yeah.
gonna buy a bigger space. I'm going to need to fill that bigger space with furniture. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have to invest a lot in making this house a home. But I think it boils down to the finance part of it. Why I was so scared is just like, there's no way I can afford this. So I think that's where initially my fear was.
Okay. This was before we spoke with the lender, because after that I recognized that you were very scared. And then I did arrange for some time with the lender that I typically work with, for the three of us to sit down and kind of give you an opportunity to ask all the any questions that you had. So did that help?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. 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 After that meeting, I was like, okay, like, let's start looking. Let's go. Because before that meeting, I was like, I wasn't committed to looking at all.
Yeah.
Like, nah.
Dipping
But
in the water.
Right, right. But then after that, I'm just like, all right, we can go. So that meeting really, really did help.
Okay. And to everyone out there who is scared, like this is normal. Like this is likely going to be one of the largest, if not the largest purchase that you're going to make in your lifetime. So it's normal to be scared. It's normal to be, what's the word? I guess hesitant or apprehensive about moving forward. But, um, don't let that prevent you from, moving forward. One thing that I tell myself, because every time I buy a house, I'm scared, but I do it scared every time. What advice would you give to others in the Black community who are dreaming of homeownership?
I would say, and I don't mean this in a sarcastic way, but keep dreaming. Like keep the dream alive, you know? It may not be your time. And I think that we are bombarded with people on social media that are buying homes, making these life moves. Um, and you may feel like, man, I just don't feel like it's my time. And it's okay to feel that way. Tap into your resources if you're fortunate enough to have family and friends that have become family that can help you and you trust and they trust you, then we have, as a community, we have to look out for each other. But I would say keep dreaming. Don't let the dream die. And I think for me, it's like, although I know home ownership is not in my future for like the next 6 months, maybe, but within the year, who knows, right? So it's kind of like I can't let go of the dream. I still, go on Redfin here and there and I just see what's out there.
Yeah.
Because I want to dream about it and I want to see what I've seen. Jocaro and I have seen many, 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 many homes. I'm embarrassed to say how many.
It's not
That at
even
this
that
point,
much.
say that again.
It's not even that much.
I think it's so much. At
Trust me.
this point, I'm just like, I know what I'm kind of looking for. That it's like I can browse through Redfin and kind of see like, okay, I kind of want to see this house. So yeah, keep dreaming. That's what I would say. Keep dreaming. We have to dream. We have to dream.
And the last question, what's one question you'd like me to ask my next guest on the show about Black homeownership?
Are they a homeowner?
Uh, hmm.
If they are, I would ask them, how much is your electric bill? Because that's that is
Wow,
the
BG
biggest.
punching
Like,
you in the gut too.
listen, how much you paying month to month? I need to know. I need to know. What's your electric bill? Tell me. And don't lie. Don't round down. Don't lie. Um, yeah, I need to know that. But also I would want to know, you know what I'd want to know? I'd want to know what they miss about renting.
Okay.
And if, considering what they miss about renting, if buying was still worth it. If they could be
That's a good one.
completely honest.
That's a good
If
one.
buying in this state of where they are right now, if they feel like buying was still worth it. I'm curious to know that.
That's a great question. That's a great question. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Before we close, Lachelle has a podcast, y'all. I was supposed to be a guest on her podcast, but I screwed
And
up.
you will.
And I haven't
And
been
you
on
will.
yet, but it's coming. It's coming. But
Yes.
tell the viewers a little about your show and where they can find you.
Yeah, sure. So I have a podcast called My Curious Life Podcast, where I talk solo or with a good friend, about life, about different topics, ranging from home ownership to relationships to solo travel to my mom raising two kids, all this stuff. two kids with very unique personalities, how my mom and my dad, handled that. So it's just a whole bunch of topics called My Curious Life Podcast. You can find it on Instagram at My Curious Life Podcast, or on Spotify and Apple, anywhere you find your podcasts.
Awesome. All right. Thanks again so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to put a plug in. If you are looking for someone to help you who is knowledgeable, who knows their stuff, who's very honest, who's not in it just for the sale. I'm telling you, not in it just for the sale. He is going to treat you like a sister. He's going to treat you like a brother.
Absolutely.
Hire Jocaro. Use him. He's dope. He's down. He's honest. So